It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Long Beach City's college special teams coordinator and recruitment coordinator, Jericho Silvernail. How are you doing today?
Good, Brandon. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college football?
So I started coaching back in 2014, and junior college football was kind of where I thought my career would be like the pinnacle of it. I started off coaching freshman football, and I was like, I think I can coach junior college. That'd be like the kind of the dream for me because I didn't play football in college. I played in high school a little bit, but um, I caught the bug really early when I started coaching, and I wanted to be a college coach. I wanted to do the recruiting. I wanted to help build rosters and stuff like that. And you can't really do that in high school. So
Of course, what was your experience like as a student going to LSU?
my experience, so I had a kind of unique one. I was online. I did their LSU online program. And I gotta say, for it being such a major university, I was treated like I was on campus. Um, I got the same what is it? Basically everything that the on campus students got, I received as well. So I got the same kind of love. I got the same kind of phone calls checking in on me. Um, when I graduated, I felt like I had been there before, and it felt like home. So I am a proud Tiger. I'm always forever LSU. So I'm very happy, especially with them being in the College World Series now. So makes me pretty happy.
Of course, after graduating from LSU, what was it like getting into coaching?
So I actually have been coaching for since 2014, and I kind of when I first started coaching, I didn't have any college education um, to like really hang my hat on. And once I got to the junior college level at Long Beach, I kind of realized that in order to make my career go further, I needed to get my bachelor's degree at minimum. So I actually I've been this is my first year going to be coaching with a degree, so it'd be kind of it's interesting. But before LSU, I was actually at Long Beach City College taking classes as a while I was coaching. So I was what a student coach. So I went from practice to class, and I transferred from Long Beach and to LSU and just kind of kept rolling.
Of course, what was that experience like getting to coach on the high school level?
So at the high school level, it was I've been fortunate enough to kind of coach at every kind of level with high school. So I've been a freshman coach, a JV coach, and varsity. I've been had many hats when I coached the high school level. So it's definitely more intensive, I think, at the high school level. I have such respect for high school coaches who kind of go all in for their programs because it is one of those things where you have the head coach who is like filling up the water and then having to go teach a class, and then he's also coaching softball. You know what I mean? Like there's more into the school, and there's more like you gotta love football, coach high school football. Like it is not a lot of pay if you're a walk on, and it just you gotta love it and you gotta love the kids. And it was one of those things where I felt like I loved it and I love the kids, and it gave me that kind of that boost and experience to pursue my dreams.
How was that experience like in 2014 getting to coach in the All-Star game for Orange County?
Oh, it was really cool. So that year, I had gotten put on at Huntington Beach High School, who ended up being that staff ended up coaching that All-Star game. And I'm still friends with a few of those guys today, which is cool. They're still there, and I get to recruit that school pretty heavily. But it was interesting. It was my first real taste of actually coaching kids who were going to college to play football. Um, and it was really cool coaching those kind of athletes that were like, okay, these guys don't need a ton of coaching, so we can kind of just let them play. And then being a part of that sideline and being a part of that game was something because I grew up watching that game, going to that game every year. So it was kind of cool to be on that sideline and be able to be a part of it.
Of course, going to Huntington Beach and getting to coach the high school team, what was that experience like knowing that those players would go into college playing?
It was cool. So I grew up in Huntington, and unfortunately, I actually I didn't get to coach a full season in Huntington. I stepped back because my wife and I were getting married that year, and I just I wanted to dedicate my time to her instead of football because I knew how intensive football would be. But the time I was at Huntington, it was really enjoyable. I learned a lot, and they have just tremendous athletes there. So it was really cool to kind of get to coach those kids.
What was that transition like from you from going from high school coaching to then getting onto the college world and getting into college coaching?
It was like watching a elementary school bike race next to a NASCAR race. It was night and day speed, man. Because I coached before I went to Long Beach. I was at Cerritos High School, and they're a smaller school, lower division in California. Um, so it was a little bit slower, and then transitioning to um, the college level because Long Beach is in Division 1 of junior college in California. So we have kids from all over Southern California who are either local kids who got overlooked to guys who were from the area who went to Division 1s and came back. And when I tell you the speed was different, like it took me a little bit to acclimate myself to it because it the tempo of everything was so much faster. So it wasn't a smooth transition at first, but it was a learning. I definitely was fortunate to have I still have a good head coach who helped me with that learning curve.
Of course, what was that feeling like coming to Long Beach City College to become the special teams coordinator?
So I actually have a kind of a unique path at Long Beach. When I first got there, I was basically an intern. I uh, I was supposed to start off a day a week doing game day stuff, and then I was helping with the defensive line, and then I transitioned to being the assistant defensive line coach and recruiting coordinator. And then up until last year, I actually was given the opportunity to become the special teams coordinator at Long Beach, and it's something that I have fallen in love with. I love special teams. I love being able to recruit the best talent in the country, and I will stand by that. That Southern California has the best football talent in the country. Um, and I love coaching my guys, and I think special teams is something that's often overlooked, especially at the junior college level. And I have a good head coach who is somebody who cares about special teams and gives me the freedom to kind of take my time and teach it and get the guys bought in for it. So it's been an awesome experience so far. I hope to continue my career as a special teams coordinator.
Of course, what were some of the things that you learned as the defensive coordinator coach to then help you to make that transition to special teams?
So I was what's it called? I was the defensive front coordinator. So I worked with for a few years. I worked with our defensive coordinator hand in hand installing the defensive line and linebackers. Um, and I think the organization aspect of everything and kind of the planning and game planning and practice planning kind of helped me prepare to be a coordinator of my own. Um, and I think just kind of managing because when you're a coordinator, you're not just managing one position group, you're managing the entire team basically, or at least half the team on defense. But with special teams, it's everybody, and you learn to kind of manage the different personalities that you have on that team and how to get through to them and how to kind of get them to do what they need to do that will help the team. So I think that being the front coordinator definitely helped me um, with the organization aspect as well as being able to manage the bigger group.
Of course, being the special teams coordinator, what is that like getting to work with those kickers and those place kickers?
So I love my guys. I am so like I have probably the best position group, like best special teams position group in the country in junior college. I will stand by that. Um, we just had a long snapper signed to Michigan State, which is phenomenal. I have the number one junior college punter in the country on my squad. I have a kicker, an incoming freshman who is a phenomenal field goal kicker and kickoff guy. I have another guy who was our special teams player of the year a couple of years ago who came back. Um, and I think the major difference between special teams players like kickers and snappers and I would say like on the field positions, like going from defensive line to that, um, there it's a different approach. Kickers are usually on their own, and it's they're not in a big group all the time. I have three of them, so it's like I don't have 12, 15 guys like I did D line. So you get to know them a little bit better, and then you kind of get to know how they like to be coached quicker. Like some guys want to be hyped up before a kick, and some guys just want to be left alone. So it's kind of finding those little nuances with kickers and stuff like that. But there, it is definitely a different group of players.
What does a typical game day look like for you as the special teams coordinator?
Oh, um, so rundown of the game day is I leave if it's a home game, we'll go home game. Um, if it's a home game, I will leave my house probably about 11:30, 12 o'clock because we play at 6 o'clock at night on Saturdays. And I'll leave my house. I'll have an energy drink. I'll be drinking my drink on the way down the freeway. I'll pull up to the stadium. I usually have something to eat, and then just kind of going through our walkthroughs and our call outs, and then just kind of having a relaxed kind of uh, feel. I'm not a very uptight person in general. I'm very laid back with my players. I don't yell or cuss at them all that much, unless actually I don't cuss at them at all, but I don't yell at them, period. Like I don't yell at my guys. Uh, so it's more so joking around. And we watch a lot of college football because we're fortunate that if we play at 6 o'clock, then we get to watch a lot of the early afternoon games and morning games when we get there. Um, but it's more of a just kind of relaxed because the preparation's done. You know what I mean? It's like you stress more when you study for a test on test day. So I want to be ready for the test already on Thursday night when we're done. So we'll get out to the field. We're usually the first ones out there warming up at about I think 4 o'clock is when our time is to be on the field, and we have music playing, and it's a really good atmosphere at Long Beach, and just joking around with my guys, making sure they're locked in, going over any game plan stuff that we have, but and then once that 6 o'clock hits, man, it's game time, and my guys are locked in, ready to go. And then I lock myself in. I get a little bit. My wife, when she watches me on the sidelines, because our stadium, you're on the opposite. We're on the opposite sideline from we're a one-sided stadium, so it's the stands on the other side of us. And my wife knows where I'm at all times because I'm always pacing back and forth, watching everything. And then I'm a very loud person on game day. I get very excited. Um, I am the biggest hype man for my guys, I think, anywhere. So you can hear me probably in the parking lot during game day because I am that loud.
Of course, as a coach, do you have any game day routines and rituals that you do to prepare for game day?
On game day specifically, or like
Mhm.
leading up to game day, like during the week?
Game day specifically.
Okay. So on game day, I usually have two energy drinks. I space them out. So I'll have one in the morning, like I said, on the way to the stadium, and I'll have one basically right before I hit the field. Um, but I have to walk the field. Like even if it's a home game, I have to walk our field. I kind of just do a little lap around it, and then after we do our pregame stuff, I usually go to the end zone, say a quick prayer. Um, my wife and my kids are in the stands, so I'll go over, give my wife a hug and kiss, give my daughter do her little secret handshake, and then I'll kiss my son, my little infant. But and then I'll go in, and then I'll just kind of go over what we're going to be doing right before game, right before kickoff. So that's kind of my only ritual. I don't like have to listen to a certain song. I don't have to like. I'm not like I need this kind of bubble gum. I need like I'm not that intense with it, but there are certain things that I have to do pregame.
Of course, what are some of the roles and responsibility as the recruitment coordinator?
Oh man. So during season, because my season never stops. Like some of the coaches like our position coaches who are strictly like position coaches like receiver, DB, D line guys, they kind of they have to maintain relationships, but I'm telling guys during season like, okay, hey, if you have a relationship with this coach, I need you to go to this high school. We need to go after these guys. I'm making sure that we're organized with how we attack recruiting, making sure we're staying compliant with rules, because there are certain recruiting rules in California that you have to follow. Making sure that we're not showing up at some random high school that we're not allowed to be at. Um, and just kind of when we have visits, so when we have kids on game day coming for visits, I'm making sure that they know where they're supposed to go, they're taken care of. If they need field passes, they have field passes, and I'm kind of just more of the I talk to them. Like I'm the one taking care of them before the game. Um, Off season, I'm involved in setting up our visits to the campus. I'm involved in how we're going to do our visits and the tours, and then just kind of talking to everybody instead of just one specific position group. So I talk to the DBs, receivers, linebackers, everybody. I'm making sure that I at least get to meet every single kid that is walking through our door, um, and I work hand in hand with our head coach. So it's a lot of responsibility and it's a lot of work, but I love doing it.
Of course, being the recruitment coordinator, what is that like getting to see those prospective student athletes firsthand when they come on campus?
When they first like if they commit and they come to us, or like when they first kind of visit.
When they first kind of visit.
So when they first visit, some of these kids, because of how prevalent camps are now, they've the kind of the mystique of big stadiums is getting gone. Especially like our stadium's big; it's a nice stadium. It's a lot of these kids have played there before because it's a lot of local kids. But I think the thing that makes these kids feel special is when we take the time out and we actually have conversations with them that are not football related. Um, and I think that watching them see themselves get treated like a 5-star recruit at a junior college goes a long way. So it makes them feel like, oh, okay, you know what, coach wants me here. So giving them that 5-star treatment, even though if they're not a 5-star, is something we pride ourselves on.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've helped to build at Long Beach City College?
Um, oof. So our culture is a very I kind of assimilated myself to it. I came from a very strict background when it came to coaching. So like um you don't miss practice, you are always on time. But the main thing that people I think fail to realize in junior college is that it life happens. You know what I mean? Like there's kids who are having to work to feed their families at that point. So like kind of learning how to navigate that. But culture wise, I think that I like to feel that I made a positive impact on it because like we run a Bible study every Tuesday night, and we are like I'm the one in charge of it, and we're getting more and more young men to come, and it's open to anybody. You don't have to be of faith. You can come and just if you need someone to talk to, I'm there to talk to. Um, but we're a very family atmosphere. Um, my kids are always like my wife and kids are always there. My wife knows all the players. My daughter runs around and does practice. Like I feel like I've contributed to the family culture by leading by example with what how a father and a husband should act and how you can balance your work life and your family life.
Who are some of the teams that you face each Sunday?
Um, Saturdays we play our perennial kind of um, a perennial kind of rival. It's not even a rivalry. I've never beaten them before, but we play Riverside Community College, and they're, you know, top 5 in the country every year. Like they played for a state championship this past year. I think in my 5 years at Long Beach, or my 4 years at Long Beach, they've played for 3. They've played for 3 state championships. They've won a national championship while I've been at Long Beach. That's somebody who, and it's fun because like you look at our schedule, and when I tell recruits, it's like you're playing in the SEC of junior college. Like this is like there is no bad team. Everybody's got talent, and it is going to be a fight every single week. So like Riverside's one. Ventura has a great program that I'm bummed that they're not a conference game this year, but we get to scrimmage them. Um, we play Cerritos College, and that's a big rivalry for us. Like that's like we have a crosstown cup that we play for. Like we have an actual trophy game for that, and that's a huge one because a lot of these kids know each other. Um, Mount Sac, where a lot of NFL players come out of here. We play them this year, like at home, and it's like it gets you excited as a coach because um you don't want to play like weak teams. You know what I mean? You want to play the best of the best because when you beat them, you're like, okay, we know where we stand. Or even when you lose to them, you know where you stand. But
Of course, what is that experience like getting to play those tough teams in your conference?
oh, it's phenomenal. It so we don't get a ton of people at junior college games, unfortunately. There's only one stadium that I really get to see a ton of people at, and that's Bakersfield. That's like a Division 1 like stadium. It's huge. I highly recommend you look up Bakersfield College and look at their stadium because it is beautiful. They have people tailgating, like it's a hostile environment, but we play it's fun. It's when you're competitive, you wanna be in those high pressure situations. And like we play Golden West this year at Golden West, and it's going to be a 12 o'clock game, and their fans are literally probably as like 10 feet behind you on the sideline, and you can just hear them, and they're loud. Like it's a smaller crowd, but it's loud. So it gives you that kind of big game feel, even though it's not like on a giant stage. You know what I mean? So it's fun.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes?
So usually Twitter is our best friend. We go on Twitter. We usually go on rosters and stuff like that for on Huddle and look at rosters and look at film, and then we go to look for the kid on Twitter to kind of make contact with them, or unless we know the a coach at that school, and we try to get the kids information that way. Um, but we usually reach out, establish a relationship with them, go to their games. Like I'm very easy to find on a Friday night. I am in because my area is Orange County. I am in an Orange County high school football game. It just depends where every Friday night. Like I'm very easy to find. Um, but it's it's just establishing those relationships and going to these kids' games and being present and saying that, like, hey man, like we're watching you, we care, and we want you to come to here. And then it's cool too because like you'll see other coaches and you build relationships with the coaches that are at those games as well. And then inviting them to our games, inviting them to practice, inviting them to tour the school, and just our we usually don't get commitments because like in junior college there's no scholarship or housing in California, so it's like the kids basically can go anywhere they want whenever they want. So it's like you just kind of keep building that relationship with the kid. So it's teaches you how to recruit at a more deeper level because like when I talk to kids, um, if I'm talking to that kid, I know they can play football. Like I've watched their film, I've talked to their coaches already. I want to get to know the player as a student athlete. I want to know like, hey man, what movies do you like to watch? What shows do you watch? What games do you play? Um, What do you like to do for fun? You know what I mean? Like, because you get to learn a lot more about these kids that way, and then when you do that, they know that you care. You know what I mean? So and I do care. I care about every player I recruit.
Of course, what does that official visit look like for those prospective student athletes coming to Long Beach City College?
Honestly, it varies from when they're visiting. So if it's during season, um, we'll usually just have them come in for the game. They'll be there for pregame, be on the field, um, and then watch the game. And then we'll talk to them. Like we'll talk to them a little bit after the game if they're still there, because we don't make these kids stay for the whole thing. Um, we realize that they have lives. You know what I mean? But if it's off season, usually like my job during the off season is okay. We have such and such who's a D lineman coming in from Mater Day. So I'll give them the tour. I'll talk to them. I'll kind of break down our program. Um, and then we started pulling out our uniforms to be more like a D1. So we'll show the kids all our uniform combinations, which we have a ton of. We are basically Oregon. We're like Oregon of the junior college world. Uh, and then we'll just answer any questions that they may have. Um, so yeah, that's usually what our visits look like.
Of course, as a coach, what is it like getting to see those freshmen put on that uniform for the first time?
It's cool, especially because there's some kids that I've known for a while who, like, we have a player on our team who's a sophomore now, and he is. I have known him since he was a freshman in high school. So like, it's cool, kind of like he redshirted for us last year, but he played, and like seeing him kind of in a different uniform than when I first met him is really cool. Um, but then seeing these kids who dream about playing college football, like junior college football is tough football. Like it is hard nosed. It is real college football, and to see them put on their uniform after summer camp and after fall camp and finally get to like go suit up in a game, it's fun to see the different personality types of like the kids making sure everything is like fitting right, or the kids who are trying to make sure their sweatbands are right, or kids who are just quiet or loud. It's you get to see the personality of the player when they put that uniform on for the first time.
Of course, what is that experience like as a coach seeing those players put that uniform on in junior college, but then go into Division One or Division Two and represent another program?
It's it's emotional. You know what I mean? Like it's like I've been fortunate enough to coach some really really good players. Like I saw him yesterday. I have a kid who was there my first year, my first couple of years there, who his name's DeAnthony Jones. He played for us. He played the year before I got there, had the red shirt for personal reasons, comes back his sophomore year, which was my second year, kills it, was an all-American, was the national like northern player, the conference player of the year, state player of the year, ends up going to University of Houston, and then kills it, like led the country in sacks at University of Houston 2 years ago, and then led the nation in forced fumbles last year. And then now he's an undrafted free agent to the Bears, and like I've seen him put on three different uniforms in his life, and it makes you proud. You know what I mean? Because they usually talk about our program because junior college it's a grind, and our like we understand that like the NFL is a dream, and there is a minuscule amount of people who get to go after that dream. But to see a kid go to a 4 year, whether it's Division One, Division Two, NAIA, D3, and walk across a graduation stage after getting to play, like having somebody pay for your education, that's phenomenal. Like you can't beat that. Like it feels like you're a proud like for me, I'm a proud older brother because I'm closer in age to these guys than most of our coaches are, but it makes you proud. And then when they represent themselves at the next level as doing well, as being captains, as being people that are like shown on TV and like, hey, this is this guy, this is where he came from. It's always cool to see that Long Beach City College previous school. So we have a lot of them.
Of course, as a coach, what is that experience like, as you said, seeing those players make it into the NFL and live out their dreams?
So I have one. I have D'Anthony is my first one. I have another one who's doing he's one I first coached. We have another kid off that same team who's on the Redskins, or not the Redskins, sorry, the Commanders now, uh, playing and on trying to make that roster as a receiver. And then we have another D lineman who's was up in Canada for a little bit and is trying to break into either the XFL or the USFL right now to get in there, shot the NFL. And it is knowing where some kids come from and seeing them live out a dream like that, where they bet on themselves and they're doing it, is you can't beat it. Like, it's the best.
What are some of your future plans for the football program moving forward?
We want to win state. I uh I think team wise we want our goal is to win state. We have the talent to do it. We have the coaching staff to do it, and we have the buy-in from the players in our culture. I think with individual stuff, I think that we want to keep matriculating players to the Division 1 level and the 4-year level. We're going to have a ton of them off this team. I think we're probably going to have about 10 or 11 who are going to go Division 1 after this season, which is phenomenal. Um, yeah, and we just want to continue to build the program and get it to where it needs to be, um, and get these kids where they deserve. Like, that's our program. Our program is built on our student athletes, and our goal, our first and foremost responsibility is to make sure our student athletes are taken care of, and that means getting their education paid for through a game that they love to play. So if we can do that, that's always our goal every year.
What advice are you for those high school athletes that are looking to play college football?
It's different. Um, I truly believe that there is a school for everybody who plays high school football to go to, a 4-year or a junior college. I truly believe that. But you have to, if I can give you one piece of advice, is to be honest with yourself. Um, if you have your coaches, have them evaluate your film. Be honest about it with yourself. Um, because there are standards that coaches look for recruiting, and whether you agree with it or not, it's a standard that they have, and you just have to be honest with yourself. And what are you willing to put in to get what you want? Because are you cool with leaving school right after sixth period and not getting extra work in, or are you that kid who's going to the field and still getting work in after everybody else leaves? Those are the kids who end up making it. So you have to really ask yourself, like, how bad do you want it, and are you willing to do what it takes?
What advice would you give those high school athletes that are looking to go to the JUCO route before making it to the division?
I think bet on yourself. I think there is tremendous value in junior college football. I think with the transfer portal now, I think with um, just kids maybe getting overlooked because of if they're at a small school, or they didn't really play like top competition, it gives them a chance to go like, no, like, look at me. I'm playing at the highest level in junior college. I'm going against grown men, and I'm competing. So I think that if you are a student athlete who is trying to go Division 1 or even Division 2, and you want to bet on yourself and you don't have those offers, I think junior college is a great route because I don't know how it is the rest of the country, but California, you get 2 years of junior college for free. So if anything, you get free school and you get to play football. So you're basically on scholarship for 2 years if you think of it. And that way, even if you don't play football down after your 2 years, your general education requirements are taken care of, and you can go transfer to a 4-year and save yourself some money. So there's a lot of value in junior college football, and I think that the more student athletes need to take it into consideration and bet on themselves and value themselves enough to do it.
What advice would you give those football players that are looking to go play in the NFL or even the XFL?
Got to be lucky. It is, from my experience and my short time at the college level, it is I've seen some really good dudes not get drafted. I've seen some really good dudes not make teams. I think you got to just kind of have a little bit of luck, and you just got to be that guy. You have to be somebody who teams want. Um, and that means not just on the field. Like you got to be somebody who is not an HR problem. You got to be somebody who's not a culture problem, or are you going to get in trouble um, when you're out? Like, are you going to be that guy who's in trouble? Um, so you got to be willing to sacrifice. It's the same thing that I would tell high school kids going to college. What are you willing to do to get there? Are you willing to sacrifice things? Or are you just like, oh, I didn't make it, so whatever. They don't know what they're talking about.
What advice would you give those future college coaches looking to get started in coaching in college football?
Talk to everybody. Um, if I were to tell a high school coach right now who's a younger coach, I would say ask if you could be the recruiting coordinator for your high school football team, so that when college coaches come through and recruit your student athletes, you get to make those relationships. Um, Networking in the college football world is everything for coaching. I've had the I've had the pleasure of being able to meet some of the best coaches in the country. I'm a part of the American Football Coaches Association, and I go to the convention every year. And I've gotten to meet great coaches from high school to college to professional, and it's you gotta build relationships. You have like they have to know that you're a hard worker, and they have to know that you are willing to get it done. And I would just say, like, if you can hold a conversation with somebody, you can't have fear with talking to coaches. Like one like I used to, so when I first started coaching, I remember we had it was at Huntington. It was my second year coaching. I was at Huntington, and I'll never forget somebody, a coach from the University of Washington walked in, and I was starstruck. I was like, oh, he's a Division I coach. I can't believe it. I get to talk to a Division I. And like I was in my head, I was like, this guy's made it, like blah blah blah. But now it's like years and years of just talking to these coaches and getting to know them, and they're my colleagues. They're my peers. Like I got news for you. You can run cover two a bunch of different ways. It's still cover two, whether it's the high school level, the junior college level, the Division I level, pros, Pop Warner. We're all running the same stuff. It's just the logo that changes, and the type of players you get. And I'll say that about the vast majority of coaches that I've met while coaching are really good dudes that are wanting to help other coaches get to where they want to go. So I would just say talk to everybody. Don't be afraid of a logo, because guess what? Like I got an LSU uh polo in my closet. I can go throw that on. It doesn't make me an LSU coach. You know what I mean?
That's,
So like it's the man, it's not the polo.
that's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Long Beach City College football program at?
So you can find me on Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter. My Twitter handle is at Coach Silvernail. Very simple. Coach, my last name Silvernail. I got very lucky to get that one. And then if you don't mind, I'll look up on my phone real quick because I don't know it off the top of my head. For our Long Beach Twitter is I'm sorry, is at VGOH underscore LBCC. That's our football Twitter. And then we do a lot of content on Instagram. We have a great videographer, Marvin Yates, who is up and coming, and is a phenomenal does phenomenal hype videos and does just great work. So check out Marvin Yates too at marvvv.mp4. He's a phenomenal videographer for us. But our Long Beach football Instagram is LBCC Vikings Football. That's our Instagram, and we'll have videos up and stuff like that. You'll get scores. You'll get when our guys sign places, you'll get to see that. And yeah, we're fun to follow there. And we will be definitely having more stuff come out on Instagram with reels and stuff like that. So you'll get to get more of an in-depth look at our program.
Thank you again, Coach Jericho Silvernail, for your interview and best luck in your future at Long Beach City College.
Thank you very much for having me, Brandon. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Jericho Silvernail, for your interview and best luck in your future.
Thank you very much.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.